Hey there, all you wacky skullheads out there. I'm Snags.
And I'm old Silky.
And this is episode 64, the Roger Corman episode, because he just kicked the bucket.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me? When I'm episode 64.
But before we jump into that, we got to hip you cats to, we got an update from Mock Bell, who we interviewed a couple episodes ago. One of our most listened to episodes, definitely in the top percentile. So if you haven't heard it, go check that shit out. Mock Bell
Hell
was
of a guy. Great dude.
He's a cool cat. He was the lead singer for the Joe Perry Project for an album and wrote some really good rock bios that are really fucking entertaining. Anyways, here's the email we got recently. Hi, Snags and Silky. Here's the newest. His new band is the Mock Bell Experience. Here's the newest MBE release I was telling you about. It's this song called "Can't We All Be Bad," written by his guitarist Johnny Press. Is actually originally recorded with Gross National Productions, which was Johnny Press's band back in the early 70s. Can't We All Be Bad first appeared as a single on Metro Media Records in 1972. Remake, same sound, guitar sound, obviously, but and you got some other cats from that original band, and you got Mock Bell doing his frontman rock star thing. It's actually not a bad tune. I like it. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good video, and the original is close. So they really channeled that energy from the early days.
So old Silky tracked down the original as you would expect him to do. So there you have it.
I just wanted to see if it was there, and there it was. So
there it was. All right, so Rabid Mike, why don't you? Rabid Mike is going to lead the roundtable here on Roger Corman. He did a lot of research, and we're going to chime in. Silky and I have both seen a good smattering of these flicks, so
yeah, it's amazing how many movies Corman has done, and he was 98 years old, almost made it to the 100 mark.
Yeah, thanks, Snag and old Silky. Absolutely. Obviously, Roger Corman just died this month, actually on the 9th, so just barely a couple weeks ago. I was really a big fan growing up. You know, Creature Feature on Saturday afternoons would often have his films, and wasn't until later you start tracking down who directed this stuff you like. And he directed quite a few of them, known as kind of King of the B movie, King of Cult, Pope of Pop Cinema. But he was famous for making a movie on or under a low budget to begin with, and getting it out there, distributed to the drive-in theaters and other matinee shows in your hometown. And frankly, very, very profitable, and always made himself and his other producers good money on this stuff. And I also think of him also as just a big jump starter to a lot of the people we've all come to love as actors and directors and whatnot. Among the actors, everybody from William Shatner, Bruce Dern, Dennis Hopper, Diane Ladd, Peter Fonda, and probably most importantly to me, Jack Nicholson. He definitely was a big early supporter of Jack Nicholson.
Mark Hamill and Ron Howard.
Robert De Niro was in Bloody Mama in 1970. So there you go.
Absolutely. I just rewatched Bloody Mama this week. I've been rewatching some of his movies. That's a great one, really. It's about Ma Barker, the Depression era gangster with her sons. Pretty over the top, especially for 1970. Very violent.
Is Shelley Winters in that? Is Shelley Winters the mother?
Yeah, Shelley Winters is Bruce Dern, Robert De Niro.
Along in the tooth, Shelley Winters for sure.
Yeah, I saw that a year or so ago. Yeah, that's a fun one.
It's been a long time. When I think of Roger Corman, I think of those. But again, I think of those Vincent Price movies, all the Edgar Allan Poe.
Absolutely.
I think he did like 8 of those or something.
And Nicholson got his start in a couple of those. Yeah, he did quite a few Edgar Allan Poe. You might be interested to know this. Richard Matheson wrote the screenplay for House of Usher in 1960 for Corman.
Really? And that's one of my favorites too. I love that one.
There's a great flick called The Trip from 1967. And I know we all love Richard
Matheson as.
Yeah, The Trip. I think if that hadn't been made, you wouldn't have had Easy Rider.
Well, and there were some biker movies that Peter Fonda was in before Easy Rider as well.
Wild Angels, that was killer.
But The Trip, I remember us renting that back in the day when I worked at Blockbuster Video, and just this seeing Jack Nicholson in some weird hippie movie where everybody's on LSD,
Yeah,
pretty wild. Or he's on
Nicholson
LSD
actually
for like
also is
hours.
credited as writing that movie.
Oh, okay, yeah. He was a screenwriter. I think he wanted to be a director, and he ended up becoming this accidental breakout star from Easy Rider with his supporting actor thing there, and just went with it. What else we got? Keep going, Mike. Hip us to more Roger
You mentioned
Corman
Wild
shit.
Angels, and that kind of goes. You guys mentioned Wild Angels, 1966. And this kind of goes with his reputation. He made that for $350,000, and it made $6 million in the theatrical run. I mean, that's the kind of thing that puts more money behind you, and again, gave him the opportunity to help propel his career and launch other careers. And just also known as an all-around great guy. Certainly, some of the movies tend to be more B than others. You've got some of my favorites. Crazy Mama's another good one. Capone is a pretty straightforward B Al Capone thing, but it's really effective. I Escaped from Devil's Island. Just all these kinds of things that just sound fun, and they were. The Dirt Gang, The Woman Hunt, The Big Bird Cage is a pretty famous one.
Oh yeah. Women in Prison flick. Yeah.
Yeah, you got Pam Grier, directed by Jack Hill.
Remember that one?
Yeah. So you just can't go wrong.
He did the original. He produced the original Fast and Furious, and also Dementia 13, which was early Francis Ford Coppola flick too.
Absolutely,
yeah, it's a wicked movie.
And he ultimately got reimbursement from the producers of that current Fast and Furious series that is so popular. Just the name. Also a great producer. Produced some, I think, excellent horror films. Dunwich Horror, which stars Dean Stockwell and Sandra Dee from 1970. He produced that. That's I think a top tier horror film of any time, but certainly of its era. Machine Gun Kelly famously has a pretty young Charles Bronson in that. That's a great film. A lot of these are either on Amazon or Freevee or some of your other streaming services, or on Prime for $1.99. So they're fun, popcorn. What are we going to watch tonight? Throw it on for $1.99. They're great fun. He was known just to have this.
I was going to say, he did Boxcar Bertha, early Martin Scorsese flick, Caged Heat, early Jonathan Demme directed flick, Death Race 2000, which is a fun one. Grand Theft Auto, Ron Howard's first attempt at directing. So he, like Mike was saying, this cat launched a ton of careers. A lot of people had more talent than Roger Corman, but he launched them.
Oh, absolutely. And they loved him, into his elder years. You've probably seen him in a lot of things where he's in briefly, but put in by some of these directors who became, he was a mentor to, but I think also they became friends. He's famously in Silence of the Lambs briefly. He's one who calls Scott Glenn and tells him how pissed off that senator is, that deal they cut for Hannibal. So he was just a beloved figure, really. There's a great little clip on YouTube with Jack Nicholson, who actually breaks down in tears talking about Roger Corman, just credited him with launching him and being a mentor early on. Because Jack didn't catch on right away. He was in a few of those B Edgar Allan Poe movies that Corman did. And ultimately, of course, and I think the cult classic, the original Little Shop of Horrors, which is actually great fun if you've never seen it. You want to see a young, much less confident Jack Nicholson kind of moving his way through a movie. It's good fun. There's
actually a couple Nicholson westerns that they literally took the camera and the crew and they went out into the desert and they filmed one script, and while they were out there, they did the other one.
Yep.
So it's the same actors, just out there.
Almost guerrilla filmmaking, similar to the behind-the-scenes shoot of The Most Dangerous Game at night when they were done filming King Kong for the day. Fay Wray was in The Most
I'll
Dangerous
watch that after we talked after that episode we recorded. That's a cool flick, The Most Dangerous Game.
That's a fun movie. It's genuinely.
I like that one. In The Island of Dr. Moreau was that's another twisted movie from that.
Another good Corman flick. It's a lot of fun. It's a horror movie with lots of tits in it. Is Piranha.
Piranha's great.
Yeah, and Joe Dante, who went on to do like Gremlins and some other shit, was the director on that. But that's a really entertaining one.
Yeah, I think it's springboarding off the fear of Jaws.
But, total Jaws ripoff.
I think Shatner's in that first one or second one.
Piranha is great fun. Again, popcorn movie.
Yeah. I don't see Shatner listed on it, but I don't remember him in it either. But it's a good one. Go ahead. What were you going to say about Piranha, Mike?
No, just great fun. And, you see kind of Joe Dante's early work. Again, famous for Gremlins, which is a classic. And I think if you go through some of it, really Roger Corman hit some real high marks as far as I'm concerned. Real quality films. One I'm thinking of, and I rewatched recently, St. Valentine's Day Massacre from 1967. Strong cast with Jason Robards and Ralph Meeker, George Siegel. Actually pretty well reviewed by viewers, and a lot of great actors in that you'll see in a number of his films, but certainly also famous in their own right. Bruce Dern is in that one as well. Gene Hale, Joe Turkel, who was not in a lot of movies. He actually died recently. He was the bartender in The Shining, and I believe also in Blade Runner. He's in this St. Valentine's Day Massacre. It really is one of the better films. Probably had a better budget, I would imagine, but something that he was very proud. Corman was very proud of, and frankly stands out as a really good film amongst all his fun and hijinks.
I know Nicholson has a bit part in that one.
Yeah.
Let's not forget Rock and Roll High School, the Ramones classic. Yeah.
A tremendous movie.
It's fun movie for sure. It's really fucking stupid, but it's the Ramones. It's got to be stupid, you know. And it's cool to see them in a flick. You know?
That's all I'm saying. It's their performances are not enough in there. I
do remember in 1980, I saw this ad in the newspaper. In 1980, I'm 11 years old. I see this ad in the newspaper for this movie that's coming out called Battle Beyond the Stars. And I was like, all right, I was late catching on to Star Wars. You know, I went after all the craze had erupted and stood in the long lines. I was like, I'm not going to make that mistake twice. I'm going to Lenox Square, which was it's still a mall nearby. I saw so many movies there. I saw Apocalypse Now in the theater there. I saw the 1976 King Kong. My parents took me to both of those in the theater at Lenox Square. But I saw Aliens in the theater at Lenox Square. Anyways, I'm 11. I get on the bus opening weekend. This was John Boy from the Waltons being the Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
So anyways, nobody at school fucking cared. It was basically Roger Corman's Star Wars ripoff, and
sure,
it wasn't a big hit at all. So that was anticlimactic, you know.
Not as good as Ice Pirates with Robert Urich, which is
is that a Roger Corman one?
No, but
Star Wars ripoff.
Just another Star Wars.
But that had George Papard in it, man.
Oh, there you go.
He loves it when a plan comes together.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Yep. And then two of my favorite Corman flicks. I'm a big fan of sexy sci-fi, and Galaxy of Terror and Forbidden World are both that they would qualify as sexy sci-fi. Just check them out. They're fun.
Yeah, that came out right after Battle Beyond the Stars.
Yeah, it's actually better. More original. Yeah, it's Battle Beyond the Stars is like this attempted wholesome Star Wars movie. Galaxy of Terror and Forbidden World are both edgy, sexy sci-fi flicks.
Well, right now included with Prime Kids, and I might have to watch this evening, The Wasp Woman, which I haven't seen in many moons. Corman, 1959. Be there,
that's
be
just
square.
On Prime?
Yeah, that is currently on Prime.
That's great.
Susan Cabot in all her buxom glory. Solid Corman, female go-to actress. The Wasp Woman, kids. If you want to see sophisticated,
that one's on YouTube as well. A lot of those movie channels, that people start have it. Suburbia, which an early flick by Penelope Spheris, who did Decline and Fall of Western Civilizations Part 1, 2, and I think she did a Part 3 later on.
There is a Part 3.
Yeah, and Wayne's World. She directed Wayne's World and some other shit. Good director. Suburbia was an early thing about it's about punk rockers who are crashing in abandoned houses and shit.
That Molly Ringwald movie I was talking about was Space Hunter: Adventures in the Forbidden Zone in 3D.
Oh yeah, that's different from Forbidden. Roger Corman's Forbidden Zone is a lot different. Check it out.
Yeah.
I highly recommend.
Oh, that's a great one.
Or Forbidden World.
Zone's great fun.
Yeah, not Forbidden Zone. Forbidden Zone is also great. Danny Elfman from Oingo Boingo and
Hervé Villagez.
Tim Burton soundtrack fame. Forbidden Zone is great, but I don't think that's Roger Corman. Forbidden World and Galaxy of Terror. Good early 80s sci-fi. Check them out.
Many of those are this close to being as good as Empire Strikes Back. Just
almost. Yeah.
Just to the left.
It's interesting. And we talked about this on the Star Wars episode, but to me, I guess Star Wars, it was pretty cutting edge with special effects and stuff. The first movie's good. Empire Strikes Back is good. And then it's just been spotty as shit ever since. Just fucking one horrible movie. And then they come out 3 more horrible movies. And then there's a Rogue One that's good. And then, it's really amazing that it's so big with such a mixed track record of so many spotty, shitty movies.
And the Boba Fett was okay, but then the Mandalorian was really good. The first 2 seasons, the 3rd season of that was
we cover all this, but it's just amazing. It's so big when it's it's like the Beatles. They're the biggest fucking rock group, and their record is spotless except for one song. And Star Wars is the biggest sci-fi franchise, and about 70% of it is crap. I don't get it.
I don't.
Yeah, you'd like to at least see it get another run of 2 or 3 good ones. It's definitely been very spotty.
Yeah, you would need some. You would need someone competent running it.
If Corman has a legacy here, I think didn't this Godzilla -1 just make $1 bajillion on a relatively low budget by any modern
it's still
standard?
not over here. Everyone's
did Corman have something to do with that?
No, I'm just talking about the notion of making a fun movie that shouldn't have to cost $500 million.
No, it also just sucks that one's taken so long to get released over here, because basically they have a deal with the cats that do the Godzilla movies over here not to interfere with their release. So they're waiting for this Godzilla Kong New Era, whatever, to run its course, and then they get to release Godzilla -1 over here. But
I think that wait, I think is going to make it even bigger. The anticipation for it's big. My wife actually wants to go see it again. I think those Godzilla movies come with an expectation of pure fun.
Yeah,
maybe a good little scare.
You're not going in there going, I didn't feel they really hit.
Whereas, we're expecting Star Wars to be the second coming, which might not. Maybe it's not.
I just expect competent scripts and non-cheeseball storylines, and not overdoing it with 20 million different Muppet characters in every fucking movie. Maybe after one guy with some pointy ears and a couple green people, and that's it. But you got to have 20 million species of Muppets popping out of doorways everywhere you walk. It's fucking goofy.
Well, that's not as bad as just the political shit.
Well,
that's just a plague of everything recently.
But that last trilogy, Palpatine is still the villain after 35 years.
And we killed Darth Maul in 15 seconds.
And he was badass, that was a badass character.
Yeah,
that
I was like, oh, here we go. And then he's dead.
Keep the George Bush looking guy instead.
Yeah.
Hey, he also, one other thing, and we'll link this in the Click Pit, Roger Corman did a Fantastic Four movie back in 1994, unreleased. It is on YouTube. We'll link that one in the Click Pit, so you can see his attempt at a Fantastic Four flick.
He produced that one. It is. I will tell you, awfully bad. It was done to help keep the rights within a company. You have to make a film at some point or lose the rights.
Oh, so they just slapped it together to keep the rights?
They slapped it together. But, wow. they've done that at Marvel, too, now. They're getting ready to do, I think, now with this new Fantastic Four they're doing looks pretty awful. And it's going to cost about $400 million.
Oh, and they're not having the Silver Surfer. It's going to be a chick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's a great idea.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
what a great idea.
Dead on arrival, I would predict.
Yep. Well, if the woke all chick, and nothing against chicks, but just write a new chick character. You don't got to make James Bond a chick just to prove a point. Keep James Bond and write some new character, 009, 0069, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Make a Beaches.
But no.
Make a Beaches 4, Somebody will go see it.
Yeah. I wanted to look up the Little Shop of Horrors just to also hit people to where it's at. It is currently on Freevee, which is an app some people might have. Freevee is going to have some commercials, but that's a classic. Obviously remade.
That's Nicholson, famously. Right? Isn't he in
Nicholson
that?
has a brief part in that. Of course, that was remade famously with Rick Moranis and Steve Martin in the late 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be fun to just start at all of those. If you look at his filmography, you can see each of his movies. You can go through and check that out. One thing I wanted to say on Roger Corman is Frank Zappa had a song called "Cheapness," and he was referring to just those fun, cheap horror movies. And he even had like Son of Cheapness and stuff. But it just poking fun at, people, the serious actor and all that stuff. And people go to movies to escape as well. And Corman, made fun movies. You didn't go, it was a way to get away from, the wars that were, during his reign in Hollywood. There were, many reasons to go to a movie and get away from reality.
You used to kids, believe it or not, entertainment used to not be a constant stream of lecturing about social issues. Instead, you would go to the movie or turn on the TV to relax and just have a break. If you wanted the social issue stuff, you'd turn on the news and that would all be on there. And then you go see a movie, sci-fi movie, cowboy flick, monster movie for what used to be called entertainment. It was this thing where you could just turn off from the social issues and the news and all that and just relax and enjoy yourself. And so that's what Old Silky is referring to. I know it's a foreign concept these days, but they used to have that. And Roger Corman was the king of that.
I think that's what somebody like Corman stood for. If you look at his subject matter, it was also just all over the board. You got the impression that he grew up wanting to make movies of his favorite comic books and pulp novels that he was reading as a kid, because he hit on crime and action and sci-fi and horror and biker films and action. I mean, up to 1978, one of his last directings, Death Sport, which is actually pretty much a classic. David Carradine, Richard Lynch, great dystopian. I would say almost a forerunner to Mad Max even.
Exactly.
And again, done on a shoestring budget, but a ton of fun. Also currently on Freevee. The Bastards on IMDb have it at a 4.0. I mean, it's a solid 5.5, 6.0 movie. It's not Saving Private Ryan, but it's just good fun.
No, but the bigger issue is Corman does it cheap and puts forth a fun script. My cat turned into my hot girlfriend kind of thing, just some crazy sci-fi nonsense, and it's just entertainment for entertainment's sake. And then I think some of the people that came up through his ranks, who suddenly had a chance to make money, started making grander versions of some of these movies that he had done, with a better budget and better effects and whatnot. But it all still breaks down to the fun of House of Usher or Wild Angels,
So he some of the other cats he brought into the industry, Peter Bogdanovich, John Sayles, James Cameron, some actors. Well, we mentioned all those actors already. He also acted in films aside from Silence of the Lambs. He has little cameos in The Godfather Part 2, Philadelphia, Apollo 13, The Manchurian Candidate. There's a documentary about him called Corman's World, Exploits of a Hollywood Rebel. I'll see if I can find that. If I can find that, we'll put it on the Click Pit.
It's a great documentary. I haven't seen it in a long time. I could figure out where that is as well.
Yeah, find that and hit me to it. I'll put it on the Click Pit.
Yeah, so I'm gonna watch Death Sport tonight. I haven't seen that in a while. So yeah, I mean, I just love his movies. I have a lot of those old drive-in horror thrillers on DVD, which helped, I think, get him a little more notice too, because you weren't necessarily going to find it at Blockbuster 20 years ago, because might not have demanded floor space. But with the rise of the cheap DVD, I think a lot of his stuff was given fresh life.
Well, and his movies, you wouldn't have Trauma without Corman.
Lloyd Kaufman he's a cheap ripoff of Roger Corman.
Yeah.
I don't know that you would have had George Romero or Ron Carpenter without that spirit of what I would call guerrilla filmmaking. Let's do something fun. And of course, Romero and Carpenter both hit it big with their imagination being able to be put forth.
Well, I mean, you look at the Halloween franchise. It's a big dude with a mask on that cost. You bought 3 Shatner masks and painted them, and then there's your makeup. The guy's not having to sit for hours. Incredible.
Yeah, and no one would think to do that.
How long did Boris Karloff sit to get that?
Well, now they're going to demand that it be, $100 million worth of CGI to create some monster, and they're all butthurt when no one goes to see it.
Yeah.
The script is often overlooked these days. So what effects can we get? What stars can we get in there?
Even your animated movies, to me, those hand-drawn animated movies are so much more appealing to watch. Versus the computer animated stuff.
Well, even if you look at Roger Corman's producer and director credits, it was always trying to do something new too. I feel like not just this constant let's make yet another Frankenstein movie, let's make yet another Batman movie. Let's, like as you pointed out earlier, let's throw together another Star Wars movie without giving it any real thought. 35 years and it's the same villain, and
well, and how many
I'd rather watch something that's cheap and cheesy anymore and chomp some popcorn and have a little bit of fun than have all these expectations. And
get off your high horse and just
dropped.
go for the meat of it, and not some Shakespearean connection.
So
again, the girlfriend that turned into my cat, or the cat that turned into the girlfriend.
Is this a real movie? Is this just your idea?
No, that's kind of hot, because it's usually some.
It's like you're fucking your cat. Yeah.
I'm working on a treatment where the drab girlfriend turns into a sexy, sexy cat.
There you go.
The people at Paramount are apparently a little concerned about some bestiality.
Clip the nails off, grease it up, and you're ready to go.
Yeah,
we're in some negotiations on how far we can go with this, but the good news is I've got J.J. Abrams directing it, and he's agreed to do it for a small budget of $500 million, and it's going to be great.
So apparently he's born in Detroit. Does the World War II thing. Goes to school on the GI Bill. He gets into Hollywood, works his way up to a position of story reader. I guess he's screening scripts for people. Comes up with some ideas that get incorporated into a Gregory Peck flick called The Gunfighter. He didn't get any credit for his ideas, so he left. He was working for Fox as a story reader. He left Fox, went and got his degree, came back to LA, worked as a messenger at Fox again and a stagehand at a local TV station. And he wrote a script and served as associate producer on a flick called Highway Dragnet with Richard Conte. He was a staple of the old film noirs. With that money, he parlayed that shit into his first production of his own called Monster from the Ocean Floor in 1954. And that's how he got the ball rolling as a producer director.
Which is a fun movie. Very, very fun movie.
I think I might have watched some of that. I don't think I've seen the whole thing.
Oh, tell Snags about that Viking movie.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's certainly a classic.
It's got the longest movie title.
It's got to be the longest title ever.
This is a Corman flick?
Yes, indeedy. But a classic. 1 second. It is the saga of the Viking women and their voyage
to the waters of the Great Sea Serpent. Yeah, I just found it on Wikipedia.
IMDb
Jesus Christ.
Reviewers are some stingy bastards. 3.3.
Why do you care about reviews, man? Don't read that shit. Just watch the movie and make your.
Yeah. No, but it's funny that you're gonna watch that movie and then give it a bad review. Like, dude, what do you watch?
What did you expect? You
didn't have fun. Prime Video right now, $2.99. Watch it, stupids. It's a classic. Yeah. It's an hour and 6 minutes of unbelievable fun. And again, Susan Cabot of she came from a buxom tribe, I must say.
Scantily clad Viking bitches.
Monsters and Memories.
That was the original title. They made him change it.
Monsters and Memories were Corman's big legacy. And God bless him for it.
Well, it puts asses in seats.
I love some of these titles. Stakeout on Dope Street, Night of the Blood Beast. Titles are great,
Night of the Blood Beast is a personal favorite.
Half of it was about the title and the poster. So
sure.
What did you like about Night of the Blood Beast?
I appreciate blood beasts who work in the nighttime hours. That schedule appeals to me as an old restaurant dog. I can dig on that. No, it's just a fun movie. Night of the Blood Beast. It's the kind of thing, like I said, you watch on a rainy Saturday afternoon.
That's cool.
And just enjoy little escapism. Last Woman on Earth is a very good one, 1960. That actually has a very famous poster, and that was written by Robert Towne.
Holy shit! The guy who wrote Chinatown.
Exactly. Another writer he worked with a lot, who he helped launch into much greater things.
Yeah.
But it actually stars Robert Towne as well. Last Woman on Earth. Actually, a really good movie.
A heist movie. Go ahead.
Sorry, this is another one that I think kind of jumps the shark for him into actual legacy, really good movie. Available on a few current streaming services, but yeah, it's fun. Robert Towne, again from Chinatown fame. Anthony Carbone, who went on to nothing, and Betsy Jones Moreland, who has the proper bust size for a Corman flick, which is
now she could clear a room with a beer fart.
But can she act? Nobody cared.
Yeah.
He did a flick in 1957 called Naked Paradise, which was a heist movie shot in Hawaii. I'm surprised he was allowed to name a movie Naked Paradise in 1957. But I'm sure a lot of people went to that just because of the title, you know?
Yeah, sure. But didn't you have Naked City? Or that was...
Yeah, Naked City sounds a lot different than Naked Paradise.
That's semantics.
Well, a lot of these posters are very collectible and classic. Definitely, Last Woman on Earth. If you guys look it up, you will have seen that poster for sure. Famous image.
Google that shit, skullheads.
There were times where he probably paid more for some of the poster art, per your point.
Oh yeah,
than a lot of other parts of the budget, because the poster brought him in. Half naked chicks, a big monster, bucket of blood, another fun one.
That's the thing. You look at old Hollywood, all the noir posters and the theater cards and stuff. They're highly collectible, especially some of the like Sergio Leone Western posters and in different languages and stuff. And it really is a lost. A lost art. A lot of these posters are sitting in old, comic shops and shit, just wasting away with huge price tags because the owner knows what he's sitting on.
For sure.
It's just funny.
And you're seeing this stuff pop up more and more too, like on T-shirts. I know I've seen some of the old Vincent Price Poe movies that Corman directed or produced. You can see that
T-shirts?
stuff on T-shirts often. I certainly ran across, the Wild Angels posters, just classic, with Peter Fonda and Nancy Sinatra in the forefront on a motorcycle.
Great. It certainly feeds a fashion, a look. The guy wants the T-shirt to that, maybe has the poster, no clue that it's a movie, or has no desire to even see the movie. Where I work, these kids come through all the time with band shirts, and they don't even know who's on they don't know who Def Leppard is. They don't know,
Probably better. They don't know who Def Leppard is, at least since the early 80s.
But the shirt is from like 81 when they were good. So you're like, oh, dude, that's badass. I don't know who this is.
I think he also did Voyage to the Planet of Prehistoric Women. That'd be another title that just goes
on
to
forever.
The theaters.
And there's
what 12-year-old wasn't taking his dime to go see that on Saturday?
Absolutely. Yeah. But somewhere there was a drive-in movie guy like, I don't have enough alphabet letters here to do this. Son of a bitch,
Did a couple of those rock and roll flicks that were so popular in the 50s after Jailhouse Rock comes out, Carnival Rock and Rock All Night.
Yeah, I'd like to see who's in that. If there's like a young,
they had some rockers in there, but it was probably like the Z level, cats who were in the 1970s.
Yeah, Johnny Winters. Johnny Winters or something.
Pretty early one, 1955. This is a fun one I've seen. Apache Woman with Lloyd Bridges.
Oh, there you go.
You don't fuck with Lloyd Bridges.
No, he's the father of the dude.
Yeah.
You just can't fuck with the father of the dude.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
Good old Lloyd.
Let's look at some of these other fun titles. X, the man with the X-ray eyes.
Now there's
Ray Milland is in that. That's a great one.
This is actually a fun movie. Exactly. This is a pretty fun one. It's on Prime Video right now for 99 cents. Get off your asses, kids.
Yeah.
$1? Come on for $1.
Yeah. You can't.
There's something about that one. I'm gonna have to look it up while you guys keep yammering. But there's something about that one. One of the supporting actors, I think, is somebody significant.
Well, Don Rickles is in it.
Don fucking Rickles. Don Rickles is in that as a supporting actor. The thing about Don Rickles is he actually went to like the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts or some shit like that. Some prestigious dramatic academy, and he kicked ass in there. And everybody thought he was going to become this serious actor. He gets out of there, and it just didn't happen for me. He did a lot of acting roles, but he had this comedic stage act that was so fucking hilarious. Everybody just wanted him to do the Don Rickles stage act in the movies that he was in,
which is essentially what he did. But Don Rick I will say, in X, The Man with the X-Ray Eyes, he is kind of sinister. He is a bit of a bad guy. Maybe he's the best serious he ever got, honestly.
He's apparently a great actor. He was. Nobody got to see it. I guess you see a little bit of it in that flick. Good reason to watch that.
He was good in Kelly's Heroes.
Yeah. Well, but he was certainly Rickles-esque. I mean, he was kind of himself in a great movie, of course. But Ray Milland, I think, brought in some heavy hitters, man. You got John Hoyt, who, if you've seen a lot of these old movies, he's been in everything. Mm-hmm. Harold J. Stone. Some people were in a lot of films and television shows over the year. Ray Milland was probably a pretty big get for Roger Corman, frankly, even at the end of his career there in 63. But it is a fun sci-fi horror movie, very of its time, but great fun. Definitely recommend that. 99 cents. What the hell?
He was roommates with a famous actor it was the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And because I was listening to an audiobook biography of his, I didn't make it all the way through, and they don't say it on Wikipedia who it was, but some guy who ended up having this amazing, serious, dramatic career and winning all these Oscars. Well, the first year you're there at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, they judge you, and they're like, can you go on to your second year, or do we got to kick you out? And they kick out a certain percentage of the class. Well, serious actor guy, whoever it was, I can't remember, was Don Rickles' roommate. They were great buddies, and serious actor guy gets kicked out and told he's not good enough. And Don Rickles is enthusiastically invited back because he's going to be a famous serious actor. So, pretty funny. A little bit of irony there.
It is funny, some of those connections in some of these industries. Here's a funny one. I've never seen this one, and now I want to see it. 1967, A Time for Killing, directed by Roger Corman, starring Glenn Ford, major heavy hitter for a long time. Kenneth Tobey, who you'll know if you see him, Dick Miller, George Hamilton, Max Baer of Beverly Hillbilly fame. Harry Dean Stanton.
Jethro? Fucking Jethro's in there?
Jethro's in it. Harry Dean Stanton's in it.
That's awesome.
And Harrison Ford.
Oh, wow.
Plays Lieutenant Schaefer in 1967. I was not aware that he'd been in film that early.
That's got to be Harrison Ford's first thing. Well, and then he did the one with Mark Hamill where they get this badass Trans Am or something painted with flames on it. The One Hot Summer or something like that.
Corvette Summer?
Corvette Summer.
Is Harrison Ford in that?
No,
Mark Hamill. The other Star Wars guy.
Yeah. Well, so it's just funny. Star Wars goes on to be this, epic thing, and all of them had gone through Roger Corman. So
A Time for Killing was Harrison Ford's second role. Right after he played a bellhop in Dead Heat on a Merry-Go-Round. That was his first role.
I've seen that.
Who knew? That Time for Killing, $3.99 on Prime Video. Come on, kids. Have some fun. Get your head out of your ass.
Put the tablet down.
Get off TikTok.
Drink a
watch
bourbon.
A good old-fashioned movie.
Drink a bourbon with your old man and watch, I'm
going to watch this weekend. That looks really good, actually. So, we keep learning, kids. Keep learning, keep discovering new stuff. It's healthy for you. Go back to watch some old movies. You'll be, I think, pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, absolutely.
Roger Corman,
almost 100 years old, 98. I think by the time you're 98, you're like, fucking leave me outside. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
fucking
done.
Let's get this over with. Yeah.
Somebody step on the air cord,
Just unplug the fucking machine I'm hitched up to. And
just kill me.
Fuck out of here.
No, Grandpa.
Well, my last thought on Roger Corman would just be a funny anecdote about him. And
he did have a wooden hand. A lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah. And a pump up dick. Yeah.
No, well, I guess somebody started telling kind of a joke about him and it kind of stuck, but it was just that he could negotiate the production of a film on a payphone, finance it with the money left in the change slot, and then shoot the whole film in the phone booth. But it is, it is funny. And like old Silky mentioned earlier, some of these he literally made at the same time. You look at his credits, and there's sometimes 3 movies released in 1 year that he produced and directed.
Use the same sets and everything.
Yeah, he's filming one in the day and one at night.
I want to comment on that is a lot of times you watch even like last year, some of these movies, if you watch the preview and you know enough about the making of it, either in the magazines or something, Hollywood is just funking these things out. Somebody sits in a back room and does some crunches some numbers and says, all right, we'll get Tom Hanks in, we'll get the pyrotechnics in that were in Mission Impossible. We'll bring them in. We'll have we'll get some big tittied bitch. It'll make this much, and they already know how much it's gonna. They don't have to really worry about a story, and so you could easily lump Corman's stuff in like that. But they were fun. There may have been a little formulaic. A lot of those Elvis Presley movies, I would say the first 5 or 6 are actually trying, and then in the mid 60s, they got a little formulaic and Elvis was ready to put 2 in the chamber. But, they were fun and there is some talent in working with a budget, still putting out a product that can be enjoyable all these years later, and coming in under budget. And how many of these people, they don't even know how to do that. And then Hollywood just continues to put out, this is going to be in a later episode here on the Snags
Death of Cinema. Show. We got a Death of Cinema episode coming up. We think it's
how they just put out reboots or remakes, and they don't give a case in point is like Total Recall. You had this amazing sci-fi movie that Schwarzenegger was in, and then they remake it, and they remade
everything. They remade Vanishing Point.
Yeah, that's bad.
What the fuck, man? Come on, that was a classic. What's the point of? Instead of doing that, re-release Vanishing Point, give it a deluxe DVD release so it isn't so hard to fucking find. Don't make some shitty version of Vanishing Point so that when I'm trying to look it up, I got to keep skipping
past
all
you get.
2007 version or whatever.
I'm hard pressed to tell you the last remake I saw. I swore him off a long time ago. I at least prefer something like a prequel or a sequel than just the straight up remake. Is getting real tired. I can't think of one.
Especially if it's a movie that was already, it's like Gus Van Sant. What the fuck was he thinking? Well, I'm going to remake Psycho.
Yeah. I won't see it. Haven't seen it.
My God.
I would argue
he put a nuclear explosion shot in the middle of the stabbing scene. Apparently, I never saw it, but I heard that was his big contribution. Is in the stabbing scene they show a nuclear explosion,
and he also shot for shot copied
Hitchcock.
So I'm like, so why bother?
Well, because there's a nuclear explosion shot in the middle of the stabbing scene.
But I'm saying
commentary on
you're going to
whatever
recreate exactly every shot.
That's just
the same.
Stupid.
What are we?
Yeah, I don't see it. The only remake I will vouch for, in fact, the original and the remake to me make an amazing double feature would be Cape Fear, the remake by Scorsese.
Yeah,
Cape Fear
that was pretty good. Yeah,
I think at that time he was pushing the boundaries in, I think, 89 or 90, 91,
Mhm.
where in the original was very much pushing the boundaries with the subject matter and the inference.
Yeah, that had to be 91 or 92.
That's literally one I can think of out of.
And that's Martin Scorsese, who's a fucking Svengali. So,
But
I think what Martin Scorsese was told by, who was the producer on that? It was somebody like Spielberg, I think.
I believe actually you're right on that.
And Spielberg said, you can do whatever you want as long as the family lives at the end.
Oh, did he really tell him that?
He was afraid Scorsese was going to massacre everybody.
Well, I mean, the bit where he's gonna screw Juliette Lewis, and
they did not tell her that the finger was going in her mouth. So that look of shock in the movie when he puts his finger in her mouth, that's real. They didn't tell her that was going to happen.
Quite creepy.
Yeah.
The original, of course, starring Gregory Peck, Robert Mitchum, they also both make appearances in Scorsese's remake, which is genius, really, on his part.
It's kind of like Starsky and Hutch showing up in the Starsky and Hutch remake, which is another good remake. That's two.
I recently took El Condor to see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and I really like what they did with that story. It was very believable. In that situation, the characters, I liked what they did with it, and they leave it where you could actually continue. They could make 2 or 3 more of these damn things, and as long as they take their time, and you can tell with each one, at least with the 4 that started with James Franco, each of those were made by a fan of the original 5.
Yeah, no, they've been really good. Tim Burton's version was shit.
Well, Tim Burton, I can't stand Tim Burton anyway. I don't mind Eddie Scissorhands or but stick to that,
Yeah. They thought they had this profound ending, and it was like, what are you doing here? But these new ones,
no sense.
Tim Burton had no business. Yeah. Tim Burton had no business going anywhere near Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Well, again, there's basically what they tried to do a remake and play around with it, whereas I much prefer this notion of a sequel to it. The first one with James Franco was great, explored how this all started. That kind of thing I don't mind, but I don't see why you bother remaking, that Rod Serling classic with one of the great endings of all time.
Yeah. With the ending that's stupid. Yeah. Yeah.
Say what you will about the Rise of Skywalker. At least it wasn't a remake. There was some goddamn originality to it. But kids, we got a little bit off topic, but I'm looking at the Cape Fear page here. The first one is amazing. It was made in 1962. I think if you watch it for the first time, you'll be surprised. I bet you there were some real fights there in terms of releasing this as it was released. It's pretty, for the time, extremely graphic. And then, of course, Scorsese classically pushes the limits in his time in 91. He follows up Goodfellas with this amazing remake of Cape Fear. A really fun, that's a double feature you could do at home for under $10 on Amazon right now.
Yeah. But again, it goes back. Corman influenced all of these guys. And it's like the Ramones, or even Thunder Train. We had the Mach Bell on, and he was there when the Cars were coming up, and they went on to become the Cars, and all these bands came up and went on to much bigger things.
That was a good episode. He really had some great background stories, man.
Yeah, a lot of good rock stories. Super nice guy. But anyway, that's all I got. Any parting thoughts or anything?
I just think something like Corman is just a good lead off. I'm not saying sit down and binge watch all 56 films he directed, but expose yourself to something new and fun and different and see what other rabbit hole it leads you down.
There
you go.
Yeah. Down the rabbit hole.
All right, kids. That's Roger Corman. We got more shit coming up in the next few weeks, so stay tuned. And peace out.
Deuces. What do you guys want to call this? I was thinking